Over the past 2 weeks on Catalyst, we've seen the significance of the way our babies' brains are formed. That as we cuddle and coo with our children, connections are made between brain cells that effectively tell baby this is the way to interact with the world. As this happens over and over again, these connections get reinforced and spread. But if that positive stimulation is replaced with constant neglect or abuse, then the connections formed tell the baby the opposite story. The world is an uncaring place. That's why the kind of care parents deliver to their infants is so important. But all the indicators suggest that something has gone wrong with the connection. Learning and behavioural problems have increased dramatically in Australian kids. Youth suicide, mainly boys, has quadrupled in the last 40 years. And teenage girls are 5 times more likely to commit acts of violent crime than 30 years ago. So at best we have a piecemeal approach to the quality of life of our infants. In fact, this little one and her mates will really only get recognised once they're 5. And even then, they may get overlooked in an under-resourced, overcrowded classroom.
Here I am, a director of a research institute devoted to improving the health of children and young people in Australia. And here we are being absolutely astonished by these set of indicators, all suggesting that we're doing much, much worse than we were 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Fiona Stanley is an internationally acclaimed paediatric epidemiologist. That means she studies the health of infants and then places it into the big picture of the whole population. Dr. Stanley is proposing a bold plan never before attempted in Australia. To pull together everything we've ever studied about the people of Australia to find out exactly what our families need to help our children.
No one has got an overview of the whole of society and how it interacts and functions, and that's what this partnership wants to try and do.
It's a massive investigation, combining brain science with findings from areas as diverse as economics, education, criminology and health. Fiona Stanley believes that drawing all this knowledge together will provide a much clearer view on how Australians live. Then problems that we're faced with today can not only be treated, but prevented.
We're talking about changing things that improve the whole environment for everybody, as well as stopping these epidemics of child behaviour problems, adolescent suicide, drug abuse, crime, that are having such an incredibly costly and negative effect on our community.
So if prevention is the answer, how do we build it into our communities? What works for one family may not for another. So finding a flexible response to this new science that fits into the very complex structure of our lives is our big challenge. One Australian charity group is drawing on this science to come up with solutions. In their Contact program, trained volunteers pay home visits to families, offering practical and emotional support.
How are you today? Hey? Say hello, you're looking good.
I really needed the hands-on help, someone coming to my house, and Good Beginnings was the only organisation that offered that, actually.
Good Beginnings believes that prevention not only heads off problems for children, but also avoids the cost to our community of kids gone wrong.
If you want to do better, do it young, and it'll save you a lot of money in the long run. So it fits both the economic rationalist concept and the social concepts.
How has your week been since I saw you last?
And the long-term scientific studies back this up. World-renowned child psychiatrist Peter Fonagy runs early intervention projects that provide hands-on support to families in both the US and the UK.
Early studies have shown that interventions were able to prevent delinquency 18 years after the early intervention has taken place. The likelihood of criminality, arrests, for example, in children who have been visited at home is lowered by a factor of 2 or 3 in some studies.
So the new brain science confirms what our intuition has always whispered. It's all about making connections between healthy brain cells, between parents and babies, between families and communities, and between communities and government. You see, the sciences are now emphatic about the importance of the first 3 years of life. And what that means is getting Jamie to Eloise's age, and then to Marcus's age, and then to Matt's age, is a job for all of us, not just parents.
If we don't get this right, we may as well all go home and walk away from anything that we do. It is that important for the future. So I feel that it is absolutely my most important mission to get this right for Australia. We owe it to our children to get it right.